Welcome to War Bios, the podcast where we delve into the most pivotal conflicts in history, examining the strategic context, operational art, and human element that shape the outcome of war. I'm your host, General Biography, and today we're going to explore one of the most significant battles of the 100 Years' War, the Battle of Castillon. It's the year 1453, and the 100 Years' War has been raging for over a century, with both sides suffering heavy losses and neither gaining a decisive advantage. The English, under the leadership of King Henry VI, had been struggling to maintain their hold on French territory, while the French, led by King Charles VII, were determined to drive them out. The conflict had its roots in the early 14th century when Edward III of England claimed the French throne, sparking a series of wars that would last for over 100 years. The English had enjoyed initial successes, capturing key cities such as Calais and Bordeaux, but the French had slowly begun to gain ground. The turning point came in 1429 when Joan of Arc led the French to several victories, including the capture of Orléans. In the years leading up to the Battle of Castillon, the French had been gaining momentum, driven by the leadership of King Charles VII and the brilliant military strategist Jean Bureau. The French had developed a new tactic, known as the War of Attrition, which involved wearing down the English through a series of small-scale attacks and sieges, rather than engaging in large-scale battles. This approach had proven effective, as the English were forced to spread their troops thinly across the country, making them vulnerable to attack. Meanwhile, the English were facing their own challenges, including a decline in their military fortunes and a growing sense of disillusionment among their troops. The English army was largely composed of mercenaries and soldiers who had been fighting for years, with little respite or reward. Morale was low, and desertion was becoming increasingly common. The French, on the other hand, were buoyed by their recent successes and were confident in their ability to drive the English out of France once and for all. They had developed a new type of cannon, known as the culverin, which was capable of firing heavier projectiles over longer distances. This gave them a significant advantage on the battlefield and allowed them to breach even the strongest English defenses. The English, under the leadership of John Talbot, Earl of Shrewsbury, were determined to hold on to their territories in southwestern France. However, they were facing significant challenges, including a decline in morale and a shortage of supplies. The French, on the other hand, were confident in their ability to drive the English out of France once and for all. On July 17, 1453, the French army, consisting of around 7,000 men, including cavalry, infantry, and archers, faced off against the English army, which numbered around 6,000 men. The French had developed a new tactic, using their culverin cannons to blast holes in the English lines. The English, relying on their traditional longbow tactics, were initially effective but ultimately unable to withstand the French artillery barrage. As the battle raged on, the French cavalry, led by Jean Bureau, charged into the fray, breaking through the English lines and sending them into retreat. One of the most significant moments in the battle came when John Talbot, Earl of Shrewsbury, was killed in action, striking a devastating blow to English morale. As the English lines began to collapse, the French took advantage of the situation, pushing forward with renewed vigor. The battle was fierce and intense, with both sides suffering heavy losses. As the dust settled, it became clear that the French had emerged victorious, having defeated the English army and secured a crucial victory in the 100 Years' War. This marked a significant turning point in the conflict, as the English would never fully recover from this defeat. In the words of historian David Green, the Battle of Castillon was a crushing blow to English ambitions in France, marking the end of their claims to the French throne and the beginning of a long period of decline for the English monarchy. This sentiment echoes the significance of the battle, as it not only decided the fate of empires, but also forever changed the face of warfare. The French victory marked the beginning of a new era in European history, one in which the nation-state would emerge as a dominant force. In the years following the Battle of Castillon, the English monarchy faced a long period of decline, struggling to maintain its claims to the French throne. The loss of key territories in southwestern France, including Gascony and Aquitaine, dealt a devastating blow to English ambitions on the continent. The English economy, heavily reliant on trade with these regions, suffered significantly as a result. The French, on the other hand, emerged from the Battle of Castillon with renewed confidence and a sense of national unity. The victory marked the beginning of a new era in French history, one in which the nation-state would emerge as a dominant force. The French monarchy, under the leadership of Charles VII, began to consolidate its power and establish a strong centralized government. As we examine the decline and aftermath of the Hundred Years' War, it's essential to consider the impact of the Battle of Castillon on the development of modern warfare. The French use of artillery and innovative tactics at Castillon set a new standard for military engagements, paving the way for future conflicts. The battle also marked a significant shift in the balance of power between nations, as the French emerged as a dominant force in European politics. One notable example of the Battle of Castillon's lasting legacy is the Treaty of Picquigny, signed in 1456. This treaty officially ended the Hundred Years' War and recognized French sovereignty over the territories contested during the conflict. The treaty marked a significant milestone in the development of modern diplomacy, as it established clear boundaries and protocols for international relations. The Battle of Castillon also had a profound impact on the cultural and social landscape of Europe. The conflict marked a turning point in the development of national identity, as the French began to assert their unique cultural and linguistic heritage. The battle also influenced the art and literature of the time, with many works reflecting on the themes of war, nationhood, and identity. The battle marked a significant turning point in the development of modern warfare, national identity, and international relations. In the words of historian Bertrand Schnurb, the Battle of Castillon was a watershed moment in European history, marking the end of the medieval era and the beginning of a new age of nation-states. This sentiment echoes the significance of the battle, as it not only decided the fate of empires, but also forever changed the face of warfare and international relations. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography reminding you to keep marching toward victory.